Now, there were huge lines earlier today at Turning Point USA's latest event in Mississippi at Ole Miss, headlined by the Vice President JD Vance and Erica Kirk. People were waiting outside CJ for hours in the rain to attend this event, and JD Vance threw away the script to speak from the heart.
You know, I got this whole speech written, and I'm not going to deliver any of what I had written. I'm just going to speak from the heart, because that's what Charlie would so often do. And when I think about what we lost 6 weeks ago, it feels like forever ago when I was in a meeting in the West Wing, and one of my staff members came in and said that Charlie had been shot. And then I looked at my phone and I saw all the text messages and realized that my dear friend had been very seriously injured. Now, in the West Wing at that time, we actually thought that Charlie had a chance. We didn't know that he was eventually going to pass away. What a terrible tragedy for the United States of America. Because Charlie wasn't just a political figure. He wasn't just a guy who went around campus and said very interesting things. Charlie wanted you, more than anything, to invest in the things that were worth having, to build a life that was worth building. And that started, the most important advice he ever gave you was fall in love, get married, and start a family. And I can't honor Charlie without repeating that most important advice.
And that was the message, and that's what so many people who think Charlie was spreading a message of hate seem to have missed. Most of those people, I think, have never actually heard Charlie Kirk speak, but he wanted young people to have what he was blessed to have, which is a loving wife, having a family, and building the foundations for what is a really rich life.
No, you're exactly right. I think the vice president took the words right out of my mouth. You know, Charlie Kirk lived a life bigger than him, and that was exactly his intention. And to see the crowds that we're seeing at universities like Ole Miss, and of course the tour is not stopping. We'll see them at Auburn University in just a few weeks. It shows that his movement is not just alive, but it's alive and well, and it's growing. It is what's interesting to me, that the left tried to stop this movement with a bullet, but what they actually did was grow it tenfold. And so young people are waking up. Young people are more active and energized than ever to fight for this country, to do all that they can to make America great again. And I gotta say, I know Charlie. I knew Charlie very, very well. And I know that he's looking down on all of us with a smile on his face. And we're doing all that we can to make him proud.
Well, that's what Erica Kirk asked for as well. She's asked the audience to make Charlie proud. She got a huge reception naturally. And she also asked the young audience to find their courage.
Gen Z, you are the courageous generation. Hear me when I say that. My husband believed that to his core. That's why he went on campuses. That's why he was trying to reach you. You are the courageous generation. Own it. Make him proud.
CJ, do you see it that way as well? Will Gen Z save Western civilization?
I think we will. It's a heavy charge, but I think that we are well equipped to rise to the occasion to do so. I'm going to tell you, Rita, I'm going to level with you here. When I think about the issues that are dominating the conversation in our country today, the issues that are dictating the direction of this country from here on out, I am more energized than ever to fight like I never have before, because I realize that if our generation doesn't fight, we have the most to lose. It's not the career politicians of today that will lose anything. They're 70, 80 years old. They will not live to see the consequences of their own actions. But me at 23 years old, I will. My peers, they will. And so we have to fight. We have to do so. We have no choice. We have an obligation to ensure that America is just as great as the one that our parents lived in, just as great as the one that our grandparents lived in, and so that we can ensure that our children can live in a country just as magnificent as the one that as our forefathers.
Now, I've got a surprise for you, CJ. This is CNN host Abby Phillips. We love surprises. She is a leftist, a Trump critic. Some would call her a hater, but yet she said this on the popular Breakfast Club podcast about how Donald Trump is so popular because he gets things done.
In a way, he's challenging capitalism. He's putting tariffs on countries indiscriminately just because he wants to, making the case that he's doing it for Americans. He is taking government stakes in private companies. That's a Bernie Sanders idea, by the way. He is creating a government website where people can shop around for prescription drugs, another Bernie Sanders idea. So his willingness to just take some of these ideas that Democrats have been talking about and just do them, no matter how controversial they are, has been one of the things that, whether you like him or not, what people will say about Trump is that he does what he says.
Well, as they say, even a broken clock is right twice a day, and she's right there despite being characterised as a far-right figure. Donald Trump is anything but, and his policy platform is anything but. And that's true whether you're talking about the tariffs or the way the administration is tackling Big Pharma.
No, you're exactly right. And I think the reason the left fails to understand President Trump in any meaningful way is because they view him through the lens of a politician. But politicians run on one thing and they do another. President Trump ran on one thing, and he ran on many things, actually, and he's done all of those things. Promises made, promises kept. That is his dogma. That is his North Star. He delivers for it every single day. And so it's not surprising to me that you have folks like Abby Phillip who are so enamored by someone like him, because it actually is very rare to have a politician who does what he says. But President Trump is doing exactly what the American people give him a mandate to do, and we're rooting for him in every which way.
Now, let's not praise CNN too much. Let's have a look at a clip that is far more typical of what we see from Abby and her show.
What do you think it's being done for?
I personally think that an infrastructure is being built to allow Donald Trump to stay in office indefinitely. I don't think that what's being done to the White House, you don't do that if you think that anybody else is going to inhabit this thing after you and if you are planning on leaving power.
Lydia?
Try to work that out, CJ. Apparently, Donald Trump's building a ballroom so he can remain in the White House forever.
Yeah, I wonder what they would say about Abigail Adams or Martha Washington or, Jackie O, who, initiated many renovations to the White House structure. These people are actually really, really crazy. And you kind of feel bad for them at a certain point. Again, I really hope that they get the medication and the help that they need, because these types of delusions just aren't helpful. In the spirit of Maha, I really am rooting for them. But as a Christian, I'm praying for them as well.
Well, before you go, just try to make me understand where this hysteria comes from over this ballroom. You would think it would be the least controversial thing a president has ever done. Building a ballroom for the White House, a gift to the American people. The taxpayers aren't paying for it. It's going to be built with Trump's own money and donors, rich donors who are contributing to this. And yet they're finding a way to dress this up as some sort of a major scandal.
Rita, I spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C., and I kind of need you to come on a visit here so you can see just how unwell these people are. They are just truly, truly unwell. These people would be upset if President Trump woke up at 6 a.m. They would call him unwell, but they were not calling Joe Biden unwell when he would wake up at 2 p.m. And then, of course, only to be, rehabilitated by his 2 scoops of ice cream that made him feel well again, right? And so I can't really get myself into these people's brains, because thankfully I think that, I'm mentally fit enough to even have these conversations. These people are not. But it's truly interesting to see. And I hope what we realize that these people have no business weighing in on issues of actual importance, because they have absolutely just been completely corrupted by Trump derangement syndrome in every which way.
Well, they discredit themselves with this hysteria. I mean, it's all well and good to pick apart consequential issues if you've got a different point of view. But when you get hysterical about a ballroom being built without any taxpayer funds, you just show yourself to be an absolute clown. CJ Pearson, thank you so much for your time tonight.